Today's text comes from the Gospel of John, chapter 20. And as you might have guessed, we're talking about the Easter story, the empty tomb. In your pew Bible, it is on page 882. We will be reading verses 11 through 18. But Mary stood weeping outside the tomb. As she wept, she bent over to look into the tomb, and she saw two angels in white sitting where the body of Jesus had been lying. One at the head, the other at the feet. They said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping?" And she said to them, "They have taken away my Lord, and I do not know where they have laid him." When she had said this, she turned around and saw Jesus standing there, but she did not know that it was Jesus. Jesus said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping? Whom are you looking for?" Supposing him to be the gardener, she said, "Sir, if you have carried him away, tell me where you have laid him, and I will take him away." Jesus said to her, "Mary." She turned and said to him in Hebrew, "Rabboni," which means teacher. Jesus said to her, "Do not hold on to me, because I have not yet ascended to the Father, but go to my brothers and say to them, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God." Mary Magdalene went and announced to the disciples, "I have seen the Lord." And she told them that he had said these things to her. The word of the Lord. Do these names mean anything to you? Judas of Galilee, Theudas, Simon of Perea. Some of us may know or may have heard one or two of these names. There are actually two of them are found in Acts of the Apostles, chapter 5. But what do these names have to do with what today represents? These three especially, there were more after, but these three were men who came before Jesus. They were men who were proclaimed to be the anointed one of God. They were called messiahs for the things that they did. Some did miracles, some led rebellions, some were there encouraging people. But do they mean anything to us today? In fact, their names are just history. Their names probably are lost to history. Just those of us who are interested in things like this might look them up. But for the normal person, their names are nothing. And what is the difference between these men and this Jesus who came around the same time? They were anywhere from 30 BCE to about 30 AD or CE. So it was about 60 years where Jesus was part of that time also. And these men are nothing to us, but yet this one man, this one Jesus, we still proclaim today. And why is that? What is the difference between these messiahs and the Messiah? Why are we here today? Today, especially above all other Sundays. Why do so many go to church on this particular Sunday? Today is the difference. Today represents the difference between a good teacher, a good man, a good woman, a good person who did good things, and Jesus, the Messiah. Because all of those, even though they had been great people, even though they had done good things, even though they had helped others, even though they had brought hope, all of them died. And if you found their grave today, maybe you might find bones still. But they're still in the grave. But this Jesus, This Jesus whom we proclaim, this Jesus whom we believe in, Jesus who we call the Messiah. You can go into the tomb today. There are multiple tombs in Jerusalem as they try to figure out which one was his. Because in fact, the tomb that he was laid in was just a resting place for a couple of days. Because on that Sunday morning, on the Sunday morning that we celebrate here today, he got up from that grave. And the women came and saw him. It's not a mistake, and it's not for any reason, just any reason, that it was women who found Jesus. Jesus was radical in that way. He did things differently. He did things in a way that would go beyond just the norm. It was the women who came because it was also the women who stayed with him. Now, if we talk about these women who were with him from the beginning, who don't get a lot of mention in the Gospels, or don't get enough mention, I should say. It was them who was there with him when the disciples ran. It was the women who stayed around. It was the women who stayed near. It was the women who continued to watch him and to be there. And on Sunday morning, it was the women who came to the tomb. But now let's think about this for a minute, because Friday was a terrible, terrible day. If you think about it from the perspective of the disciples and the women who were with Jesus and the followers of Jesus who were there from the beginning, it was a terrible day. The person who they thought was the one was hanging on a cross. They had put all of their faith into this one, and there he was dying on the cross. They didn't know Sunday was coming. See, we have the benefit of hindsight. And for those who went to like the 7 last sayings, too often the people were reminding us about Sunday instead of living in that Friday. That Friday was a tough day. They didn't know that Sunday was coming. All they knew was that their Messiah, the anointed one, the one who they believed to be the one, was dying. And then, after they take him off the cross, it's Sabbath, so they can't even prepare his body for burial. So imagine this. So the women have to wait. The disciples have to wait. They can't even touch or be near the body of the one who they proclaimed to be the Messiah. They couldn't even get close to him because it would have caused them to be unclean. They had to wait. So that burden of Friday wasn't something that just dissipated overnight. They lived through Friday. They went through Friday night. They went through Saturday. And Sunday morning, when they can finally go and at least try to prepare the body, at least to take care of Jesus after his death, at least to be kind enough to clean off the blood and all the guts and everything that had occurred to him so that he can maybe rest in peace. They were coming to do that. And when they went to the grave, when they got to the tomb, he wasn't there. Now we celebrate. But let's put ourselves in Mary's shoes for a moment. The trauma of Friday that she's been living for more than 24 hours. She comes to the grave to at least begin the grieving process. And now he's not there. And here, all of the trauma, the horror of that day, the trauma of what occurred, everything that had been upon her comes out. And comes out to the point where she doesn't even recognize what's happening. She went to the tomb and it was empty. But then she went back into the tomb and there were 2 people sitting there. She had been at the door. It's not like they came in through the back door. She comes in again, and now there are 2 people standing there or sitting there. And they ask her, "Why are you weeping?" "They took my master." Then she turns around, and there's another man there that wasn't there just a moment ago. And he asks her, "Why are you weeping?" And she says, "Sir, if you took his body, I won't tell anyone. Just tell me where it is, and I will bring it back." She couldn't see who was there or what was going on. She couldn't see beyond her trauma. She couldn't see beyond the horror of the day before. That is a difficult moment, isn't it? And so now we look at this, and we're like, well, this is a story, and this was them, this was what happened then, but how do we apply that to now? How many of us have been through traumatic moments, through difficult moments, and can't see beyond the trauma that's before us? It's easy to point a finger and say, look at, how could she not recognize this? How could she not see this? How could she not tell that they were angels? Or how could she not tell that that was Jesus? It's easy to point. It's easy to point at someone else's life and say, well, they've had a rough life, so they are who they are. It's easy to see the faults in others. But what about our faults? How about when our trauma and our drama starts to blind us from what's around us? It's not so easy, is it? Because we want to think of ourselves as beyond trauma or beyond drama. But when we look at these women, the trauma was so raw and so present that they couldn't see beyond it. And our first scripture reading today also tells us about the two disciples who were walking to Emmaus. And someone came alongside them and started talking to them. Did they recognize him? Did they see who was walking with them? No, instead, their trauma had blinded them. And instead of recognizing this Jesus, they were like, are you the only one in all of this area that doesn't know what happened in these last few days? Are you the only one? Too often, there are things that are blinding us to what's before us. Too often, we allow these things to prevent us from seeing what's ahead of us. Too often, we're so stuck in the things that we've been through and we're going through that we cannot see what's to come. Sometimes it's a choice. Sometimes it's just blindness. We can't see beyond it. But now is time. Now is time to start letting go of that. Today is Sunday. The trauma from Friday happened. Your trauma has occurred. You have been through the trauma. You have been through the drama. The chaos has come upon your life. But now it's Sunday. Now the tomb is empty. Now there have been difficult moments in your life. There have been difficult circumstances that have taken you to the brink. There are people who have caused you trauma and struggle. There are choices that you make that you regret. Yes, all of that is true. And all of that is Friday. All of that has happened. All of that has occurred. All of that difficulty has happened, and it's Friday. But today is Sunday. When are you going to get to your Sunday? When are you going to allow God to bring you to your Sunday morning? When are you going to allow God to open the tomb that is your blindness? When are you going to allow God to bring the healing that is causing you, all this trauma that's causing you brokenness? When are you going to allow God to bring healing into that? Where is it that you're living this life? Are you stuck in the choices that you have made? Are you immobilized by the trauma that has happened to you? Are you living in the chaos, and are you afraid to get out of it? Because the truth is, we get comfortable in our chaos. And we use the saying, it's better the devil that you know than the devil that you don't. I say the devil is the devil, and I don't want him around me. Are you so accustomed to your mess that you've just blinded yourself to everything else and said, I'm going to grind my teeth and suffer because this is what I have to do? Well, I'm here to remind you that you don't have to do that. You don't have to grind your teeth and suffer. You can make the change. You don't have to live in Friday anymore because Sunday has come. Death tried to overcome and death failed. Jesus rose up. Now it's our time. It's your time to rise up and overcome. It's your time to step out from the darkness that is your chaos and come into the light of calm. It is now your time to move forward from the trauma that's holding you down. The trauma that's bringing depression and anxiety and all those other things that cause you to be held back, that prevent you from moving forward, that restrain you from living the life that you should be living. It's time to live into your Sunday morning. It's time to live into your Sunday. It's time to claim the freedom that Christ has given you because of this Sunday morning. It's time to let go of all that stuff. It's time to let go of all of Friday, everything that happened, the pain, the suffering, the trauma, the drama, the chaos, the people. It's time to let them stay on Friday. And it's time to get up on this beautiful Sunday morning to live out the freedom that God has called you to live out and enjoy life. It doesn't mean that everything is going to be perfect, but it doesn't mean that you can't enjoy life. Your Sunday has come. Your Sunday is here. It's time to leave Friday in the past and time to live in the freedom that is this Sunday morning. Praise God.